we did already spoke a little bit about Paul and the 7 Noahide laws. This question also came in. Did Paul really understand the 7 Noahide laws as mentioned in Acts? He talks about avoiding idolatry, immorality, and blood, which touched on some of the Noahide laws, not to all. But could this suggest that Paul didn't fully grasp or teach the complete 7 Noahide laws to Gentiles, or did he even know?
Well, it's hard to know what Paul knew. Paul was very disconnected from Judaism. I've never said this publicly. I will now. When you see Paul's letters, so he not only wrote in Greek, but he thought in Greek. That he came from Tarsus, one of the centers of Western Greek philosophical reflection. That's who Paul was. Paul thought in Greek. His ideas about Christ, Jesus, is something that is completely disconnected. And you don't have the doctrine of the Trinity in Paul's letters, but Jesus is definitely elevated to Lord, which is like a divine being. He's not all the way up there. And he conveys that in Philippians 2, 6 through 11, as Carmen Christi. And strikingly, the author of Mark, now the book of Mark is the earliest surviving gospel. There was no doubt earlier writings that Mark used which don't survive. Why I think that is not important right now. But Mark had some understanding of Judaism, the inner workings of Judaism. He understood the difference between, the Gospels kind of understood there was a difference between rabbinic laws, and they understood rabbinic traditions and customs, and they understood the distinction between the two. Paul was very disconnected. Paul came from another world, a highly Hellenized world. And so did he know that Judaism professed moral laws? Yes, of course. I mean, Paul wasn't even aware that there was a physical resurrection of the dead. In his view, the resurrected body was a different type of body than the mortal body. And he conveys that in 1 Corinthians 15. So that's very Greek. So he was certainly, as everyone was aware, anyone who had education, had some connection with the Jews, knew that the Jews had these moral principles that they conveyed. So Paul was certainly aware of that. Did he understand that as the 7 Noahide laws? I don't think so. Paul certainly conveys an interesting thing in Romans 7, where he kind of slips. He's speaking to Jews in that chapter. And he said that he didn't think, I'm rephrasing, but he didn't think he was a sinner before he encountered the law. But when he encountered the law at some point in his life, at some point he encounters the Torah, and then he realizes he's a sinner, which is striking because he's claiming to be a Pharisee, Pharisees, and he was like Orthodox all his life. So it's not clear exactly what Paul knew and understood, but he certainly was conveying ideas and doctrines that were completely incompatible with the Torah and the 7 Noahide laws.